Welcome, ladies and gentlemen and children from around the world. My name is Don Agent, and I will be your host of the Kegel Show this week. This is another unique situation where we actually have one of our larger groups that we would do on a show, but three friends of mine that represent Buffa Distribution out of Canada. Jonathan 3 as we're going to call you, Jonathan 1 as we're going to call you, and Art McKee. Always good to see you, my friend.
You too, my friend.
I want to give a little bit of a quick history of what I know with over 2 decades of working with Buffa. Frank Buffa, the original founder, started out drilling balls in the 80s, correct? Right. Became one of the most renowned ball drillers and pro shop operators throughout all of Canada. From that point, in '95, he established Buffa Distribution. 2003, you guys created the first training center for bowling in all of Canada. And basically from like 2012, 2015, you pretty much bought up all your competition. Is that about accurate for that point there?
Very good.
All right, so we're going to start right out of the meat. How long have you all been there?
Actually, I'm starting my 12th year at Buffa, starting from the warehouse like pretty much everyone else, and being at the customer services, then technical support. So from there, just being happy all the time, you know.
So like us, you've done the ground up.
Yeah,
from
the
start
ground
to
up
finish?
from the bottom all the way to the middle section so far. So it's good.
Jonathan, we're going to give you the heads up. You've been there
I
a
was
little
there.
bit.
I was there from 2003 to 2008. I left for 5 years. He came aboard like in 2007, if I remember correctly. I ditched him after 4 months. I quit for five years, and then I was in the shipping back then. And when I came back 2013, I was in the customer service department. In the last 2 years now, I'm full rep on the road. So
Fantastic. And Art, specifically with Buffa, but before you start, you and I met each other many years ago. What a lot of people may or may not know, you were actually part of the Kegel family. We worked together many years in Asia. That's usually when I would see you.
Sure.
And then as we kind of went different directions, you ended up back in Canada. So how long have you been with Frank and Mark in the group?
Well, I'm actually the new guy. Just coming up on 2 years, May 1st.
Okay.
So, I had some conversations with Frank over the past years. I've spent 7 years in the Middle East coaching in Qatar. And Frank had kind of indicated to me that, whenever I got tired of that, I should think about coming and joining the team.
Wasn't Frank coach in Qatar at
He
one
did,
point? Or
but
Kuwait?
before
I
I
can't
was-
remember if it was Qatar or Kuwait.
No, he was there in
Okay.
Qatar, but
That's what I
it was
thought.
before I was there. But he knew
Yeah.
everybody there, so
Yeah.
he would still make some trips there once in a while.
Too cool.
So anyway, my gig ended there, and I had kind of already decided that I wanted to go back to Canada. I had lived outside of Canada for 50 years.
Oh, yeah, man.
Even though I was born in Toronto.
Well, you were out on the tour on PBA. That's actually where we first met,
Yep,
I think, was
yep.
out on the PBA tour.
Exactly.
And you
Yep,
coached
in the
Hong
90s.
Kong as well, and I mean, you
Spent some time overseas coaching, and now I'm back, and really, it's an amazing team, honestly.
We love Frank to death. I mean, we love his son Mark as well, but
It's
I mean,
a great group,
It just all bowling.
Everybody's
family,
laid back,
all y'all.
and I do have a lot of experience in bowling. Most of it technical, most of it on the 10-pin side. But because we have 5-pin, we have duck
Ducks.
pin, we are connected to those other small games, as well as doing capital equipment and aftermarket.
That's huge
So
for
it's
Cubic AMF, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, 'cause
exactly.
y'all ended up doing that in 2005, correct? Became their resellers and installers,
Yeah.
I
If I
believe.
if I remember correctly,
for the
2005.
QMF
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
So I've got a lot of learning to do, because that's kind of new to me, especially the capital stuff.
Well, you got two great people to help you run down the line.
Well, everybody has been so helpful, and honestly, it is an amazing team.
It's a great company.
And we
It
work
really
together
is.
on everything, and if there's issues, we work it out together. So really, it's a fantastic situation, and I'm really enjoying being back home.
So y'all are all, you do the gambit. You're doing some technical, some sales, obviously some coaching. Anything bowling related. Let's start off. What got you started in the bowling?
What made me what?
Start into bowling.
You know what? I've been bowling for pretty much all my life there, so it just happened one day that Mark showed up at the bowling alley where I used to work, and with
I
actually
was
with,
there,
with
I
this
was
guy
there, I was
on a
there.
Sunday night, and
Yep.
the two of them approached me and they say, "Hey, we're looking for someone. Are you interested in it?" So right away I said, "You know what? I'll try it. I've been in the bowling industry for so long. Why not? I know the machines. I know the bowling balls. I know most of the bowlers there, so it would be a good experience for me. So I really, from that point on, I never quit the place there. I always had a great time. So
He made me quit, and I came
yeah, I
back.
made him quit. I made him quit. He couldn't stand me. So 4 months after, he said, "You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm heading home."
So let's fast forward to you. What got you involved?
Honestly, I'm born about 5-6 hours north of Montreal.
Okay.
So I was there. I did all my high school and stuff like that. But I was starting bowling, and I love bowling. You know, I've been bowling for all my life. And in 2003, I went to the office and see Frank, and asked him, "Frank, do you have a spot available for me?" And it took a couple of weeks, and then about a little discussion here and there, and I start part time, and then I got there full time for the first 5 years, and you know I was bowling for all my life, and I never had the chance to go on national team because I was so far away. And then when I got with Buffa, you know, I had the training center, I have all the coaches, I had all the tool.
Whole
So the
package.
first year I tried to make the national team, I won the youth. I finished first in the youth section. I finished third in the country as an adult.
Outstanding.
And then I made the team back in 2008. But when I left from Buffa, I resigned my spot because I didn't want to leave my job and lose the spot, the new job that I found. And then I think I came back in July 13, yeah. And then I did the national championship just before coming back to Buffa. The national championship are in May, so I made the team. It was David, Simar, myself, and Mark.
I was going to ask, was Mark on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
team?
yeah. So
For
we
the
made-
audience, because Mark Buffa, Frank's son, and Caroline, I mean, phenomenal bowlers, both represented
They've
Team
been on
Canada.
the team for more than 15 years.
Wow.
So the first time in 2008, Mark and I were on the same team, and I resigned to go to Thailand, and then we were on the same team to go to Abu Dhabi in 2014, and he resigned. And in 2006, I made the team with one of our colleagues, Danik Bria, that a lot of people know. He resigned that year, so we never went together on the trip together. So, you know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Art, you've got kind of as well. I mean, you've got a broad history. You've been on all start us from the beginning and try to run us through it.
Well, as I mentioned before, you know, even though I was born in Toronto, my family moved to the States when I was 7 years old. So
Okay.
I spent most of my life living in the U.S. and grew up in Minnesota. And I didn't start bowling actually until I was in high school. And some of my buddies that played baseball with and stuff during the summertime, most of them bowled youth leagues in the winter. So they asked me if I was interested, and I said, yeah, I'll try. Well, my average was 98 after 6 weeks.
Sweet.
Honestly, I had bowled a handful of times in my life, never gotten a lesson, never knew anything about the sport,
All right.
and was a absolute beginner. So, but it was fun. I mean, and hanging out with the guys, and it wasn't cutthroat. So as time went on, you know, I kind of figured some things out and
Traveled the world.
Well-
for being a 98 bowler.
How about that?
Boy, that's not bad.
How about that? So, yeah, but you know, the thing that really got me interested in the industry was the fact that I love physics. So to me, it was fascinating figuring out what happened as the ball's traveling down the lane and what caused it to change and all of that stuff. Really, I was really very interested in that. And I was lucky enough to have met some pretty influential people, and Bill Taylor being one of them.
Sharp guy, man. Sharp guy.
So really, all of that stuff, I got interested in, got into drilling balls, and had a chance to drill balls at the national tournament, the U.S. Back ABCs at that
ABC
time.
back then. yeah.
ABCs at that time, And from that, I got a chance to go out on tour, drill balls on tour, which worked into a ball rep opportunity.
Now you're behind the people, kind of giving them
Yep.
reads and giving them advice
Yep.
as well.
And went on to work with Brunswick for almost 10 years and got to work with the research and development guys there. So really, I was around some very smart people and really very fortunate about that.
I feel
and
lucky
learned a
I'm
lot
the same
from
way.
all of them. So after leaving Brunswick is when I came to Kegel.
Yep.
You know, John Davis and I had developed a relationship during the time of the tour because he would make appearances out there, you know, occasionally.
As I was hiding in the back, putting the lane machine away,
You were
trying
doing-
to get
you were
away
doing
from
the grunt
everybody.
work,
That was
yep.
it.
But somebody had to do it.
That's it.
So anyway, again, it was a situation where he says, you know, you've got a lot of experience that I think, you know, could be good for us. And so I came down and you know, the day that I traveled to Florida was 9/11, believe it or not.
Wow. That's a
And so as
flashback.
I was driving down, I heard about what was going on in New York.
I was going
and
to
it was
put a
crazy.
lane machine in for Jerry Krause, Sunshine Lanes in St. Petersburg.
Wow.
Pulled over to get a hot dog at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, and it's full of people. And I just was, that was
Crazy.
an amazing deal.
Crazy.
Let's, what brought you guys down here this week?
Training.
Training.
Need to get
We do
better
that
at it.
sometimes.
Training, sir.
We need to get better at it.
How did it go?
Very good, actually. I'm probably the worst of the crew here.
Wasn't
this
the
week.
most handy guy there,
No.
but he understood pretty much everything that that Darren showed us all week, which was really phenomenal. The guy was asking questions to us, showing us the right way to do the adjustment and everything. So for us, it was gold this week. Those 4 or 5 days that we got to spend with him so far. So very happy about that.
So you basically, I mean, you came down to get more, more lane machine, lane
Yeah,
maintenance
correct.
training
We're
to
4
better
of us.
to better serve, obviously, your and our
Exactly.
customers out in your
Exactly.
area.
Yeah, like,
Well, ironically, the last time I had lane machine training was with you
was a ways
in
back.
2002.
That was a ways. I was still
Yep.
doing that back
Yep.
then. That was. A
And
ways
so, you know, at the time,
back. It's changed.
the
a little.
machine that was being worked on at that time was the custodian, the
You
first
got it.
custodian.
You got it.
So yeah, obviously, look at all the changes from then. So essentially, getting up to speed wasn't probably as hard for me as it was for somebody that had never had
Sure. Came
exposure
into the
to it.
course blank for sure.
But really, as I mentioned before, you know, because aftermarket's such a big part of our business, and lane machines is a big part of the aftermarket, we need to know more about it. I mean, and I'm the only one in Ontario. Everybody else is located in Quebec.
I was going to say, now y'all are in Quebec, but
He's
you're
in
you're
Toronto.
separate
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
So I handle the western part of the country. So if there's a time where I can go out and troubleshoot a service call and not have to bring somebody else in, you know, it really is going to be good for the company as well.
So let's go forward with that. Tell me about some bowling in Canada. Tell me about bowling as a whole. Some things maybe that, other people don't know, whether it's in the U.S. or abroad. Obviously, we talked about we've got some different games there as well. We've got duck pin, we've got 5 pin, we've got traditional 10 pin.
And the candle pins.
And
We
candle
have
pins.
candle pins
Yep,
also.
we've got some candles.
But what, in y'all's opinion, I've seen Canada develop quite a bit over the last 2 decades.
Yep.
I mean, what are you guys seeing as a whole as far as bowling in Canada?
Right now, we are in a real good peak. I mean, bowling is very big right now in Canada. I think there's a lot of things going on, especially with the national team that's getting better and better. We have more people winning medals. That's a start. I think the 2 federations that we have, CTF and Bowl Canada, is doing an awesome job.
Great.
Being the biggest distributor in Canada, we're affiliated with Bowl Canada, CTF. We are everywhere for any events. So I think this is a big thing for us. We are everywhere with everybody. So it doesn't matter if it's a 5 pin, duck pin,
You're supporting
10 pin.
the
We're
whole
supporting
thing.
everything. Yeah, exactly. We're everywhere. Like, we're doing the lanes for the national championship. We're doing the lane for provincial youth championship. Art went to a 5 pin championship last year. So we're trying to cover everything we have in the country. And by being more present and spending more time and effort with everybody, it's paying off.
And that's excellent because to me, to be honest with you, whether it's 5 pin, candle pin, duck pin, 10 pin. We're all throwing a ball at a pin,
Correctly, yep.
and what's good for one of those is good for all of bowling as a whole.
And you guys are the perfect example. You're doing so many tournaments. You're going in so many places. You know, it's fun. Like we're saying that Art went over the world. You went over the world with bowling. I went over the world bowling.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in a national team. Sometimes you talk to people and go, hey, the only place I didn't go in my life is Africa.
Yeah.
I went everywhere
Actually,
else.
that's the only place I haven't been. Been to Egypt, so it's kind of, you know, I mean,
that is
honestly,
Africa.
I went,
It's there,
I went
but
everywhere
technically it's
except,
Africa.
except that continent. Everywhere I went. You know?
All right, so let's go. What are some of the goals I think y'all have as a company moving forward? Because obviously we, in the beginning, read off, y'all have made some huge jumps, Frank, everybody. Mark has done a tremendous job. I know his wife has also been instrumental in a lot of that, as well as the internal family of Buffa. What do you see in the next 5-10 years? What's kind of some pie in the sky things maybe?
Honestly, right now we're growing up very fast. Since I'm back 2013, and now numbers are
A whole lot different.
triple. It's not even close. Like I wanted to mention, we came here 4 guys, 2 sales guy, and our 2 installer that does the installation when we're selling capital equipment and stuff like that. We need their help because right now we don't have Michel Martin with us, but Michel is one of our crew.
One of a
You
dear
know,
friend.
Who also worked for Kegel.
Dear friend
He
of
worked for
mine,
Kegel also,
yes.
and
Also worked for Kegel.
Michel does the capital equipment. But he do also lane machine. Actually, he sold one this morning, and you know he needs help. So we need to get better at it because we're taking care more of the retail side,
Sure.
but we need to get involved
Have a
in there.
backup
And
type
then
of
we need
thing.
these guys to help us out too because you know most of our install is it in the summer because Canada is not that the warm country, right? So people stop bowling in May, right? Here they go bowl in May because it's so hot, but not back
Absolutely.
home. Back home we go outside. So during the winter, we need these guys to help us out to do install, upgrades, things like that. And Yannick and John 3, are very good. So I need this guy, and that's why we came here all 4 together as a group. And honestly, that week there with Darren, and obviously sometimes Darren was doing something else. Ryan was working on some machine.
Yeah,
And
he's-
anytime we had a question, he stopped, came to see us, help us out. And I mean, the entire crew is fantastic.
Glad to hear it. We,
Yep.
we take a lot of pride in that, and I appreciate hearing that. Let's flash to Mark and Carolyn. They're pretty solid players. I
Yep.
mean, I've obviously known Mark for a long time, and obviously got to watch his wife bowl in her up and coming years. Are they still bowling? And if they are or if they're not, can you kind of let our audience know what's in the future here?
Honestly, I think Mark doesn't bowl league this year.
Okay.
No, he
I think he's in the Monday night league.
Not even.
No?
He just started 2 weeks ago, starting to practice again to get himself going for.
For
USBCs.
USBCs, he's
USBCs.
bowling with Chris.
By the way, I just drilled up 13 pounds, 4 ounces, Mark. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, brother.
Exactly.
And Caroline's been bowling a lot the last 8 months or so.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they had children, and
Yeah, they have both 2
Yeah,
children back
they-
to back, but I think Caroline is gonna give a shot to PWB.
See, and that's
I
what I
hope
was
so
hoping to hear.
because
Her game is still pretty
That's
solid.
what I
her
was
game
hoping
is
to
pretty
hear.
solid.
I mean,
Yeah,
But
made
actually,
she made the
it's-
Montreal Open.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty much the same thing for everybody in the company. We
lately.
all stopped bowling a bit because the business was growing so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
We just had no time to really go on the lanes and practice and
Correct.
go show up in the tournament and perform to the way we really wanted to be. So it's the main reason. But everybody slowly is starting to get back on the lanes and bring back the competition mode in the business.
Even for us, I mean, we have an employee league here. I had to quit bowling a couple of years ago, just arthritis, what I've done for a living, and we were laughing at lunch. I said, now I've drilled down a little bit lighter because I miss it.
Yep.
I mean, I took 2 years off, and for somebody that bowled all their life and also did lanes and watched some of the best
Yeah.
bowlers, it's difficult for me to be
is.
able to sit back and not
And
throw a
just
ball.
watch
And
it.
and you guys know
Yeah.
this. I mean,
Exactly.
you felt that, you know,
Yeah.
no
Of
course.
doubt.
And honestly, like I've been bowling for my entire life and playing links since I'm 7 years old for the last 25 years or so. And this year's the first time in my life not bowling leagues.
Oh, it killed me.
And
the
I
fir-
bowled
killed me the
bowled
first
3
year.
tournaments this year. And I get to a tournament, and I've been a national team member. I went to USBC and stuff like that. And sometimes just going to a regular house pattern tournament, it doesn't drive me up anymore.
Correct.
I want the real deal. So when I'm going to USBC,
You want competitive.
I want competitive, but
That's the
so
problem.
bad.
Not good anymore.
Oh,
We're going to work on
not
it.
even average 190. So
All right, I always wrap this show up, and we're going to get 3 of the answers today. I always ask, do any of y'all have any specific advice for our up-and-coming youth? And that can be life in general, that can be bowling, what have you. We'll start off with you. Now, we're going to, for the Canadian audience, Jonathan Greenwood is
Jonathan.
what I was supposed to mention there. But what do you got? You got anything off the top of your head for the kids?
Just follow your dreams. I think that's the main thing. If there's something that you really want to do in life and you're really into it, just keep following them. Because if you don't have any dreams, then you're just gonna wait for nothing. So that would be my main thing. There's always one thing that you probably would like to do and you think it's impossible, but at the same time it's really reachable.
Go do it. Absolutely, go do it. Great advice.
mostly on the bowling side of it because he went with the life side.
philosophical
Exactly.
side.
Bowling has to be fun, right? And there's one of our good friend Mathieu who works for us for about a year now. He was throwing with one hand and didn't have fun anymore because no power, no pin action, no nothing. He changed in swing and went with two hands. My son is 8 years old and he's with two hands and is averaging 155 most of the time. And already I'm going to bring him up to 12 pounds. He's 8 years old. I know he's a big boy for 8 years old, but still, two hands, run to the fall line, have fun, and make it hook. Twist it, do whatever you want.
You can't
make it hook.
You can't argue this. We talked about at lunch about this, and
Yep.
I'm, speaking on behalf of Don Agent, not on behalf of Kegel, but, if they're doing what is within the guidelines of our governing body, you know what? Let them do it, and they're having fun, and they're successful. I think Belmo's done pretty good. Mike Miller did pretty good back in the
Miller
day.
did pretty
I think
good.
Oscu did pretty
yeah.
good.
Yep.
Kyle Troop's no slacker. Simonson. I mean, we can keep going on and on.
Yep.
This is a show we talked about having one day, which we haven't had yet, but just on that type of comparison. Excellent advice. Have fun. Art?
Well, our sport has changed a lot over my lifetime for sure.
Lord. Yep.
Starting to bowl in the 70s and going through all the changes that it's gone through to synthetic lanes and
Water-based urethane when they're
the
getting out of
finishes
wood.
changing,
Bowling balls,
and the bowling
oiling
balls getting
machines.
stronger. And I have been around the best bowlers in the world.
Oh, yes, you have.
Quite a bit.
Just on left. Just on
And
the left.
the guys that are the best can do
Different things.
different things.
Yes, correct.
So that's what I would say is that don't get hung up on just being in love with throwing the ball one way.
Pitching it right or squaring out. And Duke was a perfect
Even if
example.
you like bowling two-handed, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't bowl one-handed once in a while. There's nothing wrong with learning both.
Correct.
Really. Even if it's just to shoot spares, you may have more control that way.
Norm Duke popped up for me. He used to say he could bowl with, had different hand positions in a box.
Yep.
Brian Voss, another guy, Pete Weber, obviously, he do a lot of different stuff. Parker, same thing. And I like that. Don't be afraid to be versatile within your style. Don't hook
Exactly.
up into one dead set thing.
But-
All your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
Guys, I can't thank y'all enough for coming out. It was an absolute pleasure. I look
It
forward
was
to
a
coming.
pleasure for us
Really,
to come here.
It's been a total pleasure
Yeah.
for us.
We want to come
honestly.
back for our second week next week.
Y'all are always welcome.
We got treated like royalty this week,
Yep.
and we can't say enough and how much we appreciate what you guys do and what you have done for the sport, and how proud we are to be your distributor in Canada, and the help that we get from you.
And we're equally as proud. We've obviously had a long relationship together as companies and families for many years, and I think we have the same goals and same end spot.
Yep.
At the end of the day. And guys, you have a safe flight back.
Thank you, Don.
I will be
Appreciate
coming to
that.
see you
buddy.
this summer, but not like in the winter.
I don't
time.
blame you.
Okay, I don't
I'm
blame
in
you.
I'm in a flannel shirt. You're all in short
Well,
sleeves right
Canada, Canada's beautiful in
now.
the
It's
summertime. I know
absolutely.
that. It is.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for the day. Keep those wrenches turning. Have a wonderful day.